I have actually a studio sale happening today. So I was just, I'm a little bit disorganized this morning, but I realized I do not have a lot of the materials that we need for this class. So I'm going to wing it. One of the things I don't have, oh, here's Julia. One of the things I don't have, hi, Julia. One of the things I don't have is Bristol paper. So I just want to warn you that perhaps I'm using kind of heavy sketch paper. Seems to be working pretty well. I just wanted to warn you, though, that perhaps my paper won't have exactly the same reaction that yours does. And I want to take this super easy today because we're introducing a new medium, which is really crazy. So we're gonna eventually move to this because, as you can see, the shapes are really simple, right? And I want you to get used to working with the materials. So the other thing that I don't have is I don't have any black ink. I only have green ink. So my demo today is going to be done in green ink. You use black ink, although, hey, if you've got another color ink, go for it, right? Like that's kind of the fun of this process. As I sent across the thread before, you'll see I've got 2 jars of water. I've tried, and I've already tried out, Nancy, you can see this one is green. I've tried out the new synthetic brushes. So one of the things that Nancy Skinner pointed out about these brushes, which I had never thought about before until you said it, was most of the bamboo brushes, the typical brush, is made of goat hair, animal hair. And when you ask more closely, yeah, people are like, yeah, we can't guarantee that that was, I don't know, taken nicely from the animal. It is not a cruelty-free product. So I went searching and found this one company called Blue Heron, which will sell the synthetic brushes. They don't feel exactly the same, but the biggest thing, I like them. I think they're really neat. I think they're going to work very well for our purposes. So if you want to, you can use these. Now, also, you can just watch if you're like not sure about ink or you don't have the supplies and work with pencil or charcoal, right? That you can also totally have, or pastel for that matter. You totally have that. So the first thing I want you to do is unscrew your bottle of ink. And I want you to get at least one kind of jar ready. And I just literally want you to dip your brush in the ink like this and make some marks with it on a piece of paper. Nothing fancy. Just, we're going to cover this whole piece of paper with marks. I think you're going to love, you can make thick marks. See how the brush kind of comes into a point? So apparently, just make marks. And then I want you to dip your brush with the ink in it into the water and make some marks. So just like, I think you're gonna follow, this is where I just fell in love with it. I was like, oh my God, we haven't even done anything yet. Look at how cool, $50. But you'll find it feels nice. I like these brushes, Nancy. I think they're really cool. I think they're gonna be a really great, I mean, I'm not a classical, like ink painter. I mean, I use it, but I don't use it a lot. Notice what happens when you run your ink into wet paper, into wet lines. See that? So if I run this over a dry line, it takes a couple minutes to dry. This happens. If I run it into wet, we get this kind of wavery effect.
Good morning. Sorry I'm late.
Good morning, madam. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I was on the phone with a friend.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're here all the time. We see you all the time. You come in and out as fun, And then when you've gotten tired of playing with the brush, you're going to take your bamboo pen, dip it right in with the ink here, and make some marks with your bamboo pen. You'll notice you can probably only make 2 or 3 marks before you have to re-dip it. Try the other side. Notice how different the texture is.
Are you
Notice
holding it with the channel down or up?
I'm doing both.
Oh, okay.
So play around, see what works. When I hold it with the channel up, it seems to, no, it just depends on how much ink you can get in. You can usually get like 2 or 3 strokes in. So I think I've told you guys that my introduction to ink was very late in my art career, not till I'd been painting for about 10 years. I took a figure drawing class when I first got to Portland, and the teacher required us to get these materials. I had no idea how to use them. I was just like, it was like a total mystery to me. I'm like, really? And so I asked her, she was a wonderful teacher. And the week before, and very like, not like me, you know, calm, like very mellow and quiet. I'm not saying I'm okay, but you know, a different personality totally. And I was like kind of anxiously, you know, well, I don't, you know, what's going on? I don't know, you know, I don't know what this is. The ink makes me nervous. And she looked at me and she said, ink changes everything. That's what she said. And she was absolutely right. The moment I got these materials in my hand and I started using them, I was completely in love with them. That doesn't mean they don't have their frustrations, but look at these marks you're making on your paper without even any intention. I'd love to see some pictures across the thread, actually. I'll send you mine. I know you can see it, but just to see what you're doing with it, because it's beautiful. And so it's like, and it's very painterly. It's very, very painterly. So that's my little sort of preface to ink. I totally remember because I was as nervous. There we go. Just sending over pictures. Send over pictures when you're just, I'd love to just see what your doodles look like. Notice that the bamboo pen, look at how different the bamboo pen is, and look at how much darker it is than the brushes, how you make brush marks with your brushes. Notice you can make kind of skinny, you can make fat, right? Like you have all these options. Oh, Julia, I love it. Look at that. It's like a beautiful little, like, right? If you show that to somebody, they would be like, that's a beautiful little painting. Oh, it's so nice. Anybody else? Send them in. I'm not there. This is just to look at like what you're doing as you're goofing around with it.
Okay, Sunny.
So already it's a win. Oh, gorgeous, Nancy. Stunning. I love this. I almost feel like a little bird or flower kind of flying.
I was thinking birds. Yeah.
Fantastic. Look at these. Aren't these? Oh, Bettina. Wow. These are so great. Look at what you guys are doing. This is this is only recently that I've thought to look at these, right? As we're like running them around, because I want you to look at how different they are and how much the tool affects your process, right? So the wonderful thing about ink, number one, is that the tool affects your process. Like one stroke gives you a lot. The other thing is that when we start our drawings, we are not going to start with ink only. We're going to start with diluted ink, water diluted ink. Because if you look at what happens here, here's my inky jar, right? It's my inky water. And this is why Bettina was like, this is important, right? So maybe I need a little bit more. If I dilute my ink with water, I can scrub it out with if I go quick enough. See, look at this again. If I dilute my ink with water, I can kind of scrub it out. So blankie in one hand, your non-dominant hand. Actually, this is my non-dominant hand. Blankie, we call this your blankie because it hangs here. And our first sketches are going to be done like this. Now, if you wait too long, see, I'm waiting. I'm waiting. I'm waiting. You're less likely to be able to erase it. But if you quickly, excuse me, if you quickly, so our beginning sketches are going to be started with this very diluted ink, this water diluted ink. And the reason I have you have 2 jars is that at some point your ink is going to get a little bit too dark at water, and you're going to want fresh water. So the other thing to think about, yes, and let me show you, this is just basic ink. This is right, the straight ink. This, I don't think I can't really erase that. See, so we don't start with straight ink. We start with water, so you know, this is water soluble product. We start with, although you can kind of scrub it out, so there's a kind of nice like sheen, but like when we start our sketches, we're going to start with watery ink. So as we start to do our things, and you'll notice that even if you can see little bits of the mark and they're not in the right place, it still kind of works in the final drawing. So the other thing about ink that's really great is that it kind of pushes you forward fast. I expect we're going to make several drawings. We're going to start with the easiest one, I decided, which is the cow, because you can't see any face. Really, you can just see white and dark places. So you're going to be forced. I want you to kind of play with me. You're going to be forced to kind of work on these bigger shapes. I just wanted to take it easy on you guys rather than give you something super complicated on the first go. And know that you might at some point have to give up on the drawing and go again. So I have several pieces of paper here. Here, I'm gonna take a picture of my thing, just ready in case I need to keep, you know, I've overdone it. So are you enjoying it so far? It's kind of neat, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, it's kind of neat. So the other thing to know about ink, so unlike charcoal, where we darken everything and then we pull our lights out, ink, we want to preserve our whites by not touching them, right? So as we may be painting later in a little bit on some of the darker lights, but the main idea is that you're going to be painting your darks, building up darks. You'll be building up your darks. You are keeping your whites with no color on them. So that's the difference. You can't really layer light on top of dark in ink. You have to work. So there's another kind of difference in the way it feels. Does that make sense to everybody?
Can you just say that again?
You don't put any ink here. There's no ink here. We're going to go around, right? And we're going to build up our darks slowly. So we do what's called preserving our lights. Because with this particular medium, we can't go dark. So we might start like this in our darks, or we'll probably start as light as this, right? We're going to do an outline with our brush. And because this is kind of loose, I want you guys to try your first one. I'm going to give you a couple measurements, but I want you to just play with the materials and not be so worried about measurements. I mean, worry about measurements, but we're going to do this a couple of times. So, all right, so let's get set up. You can just kind of lay your ink. Oh, and there's one other thing. I like to have a piece of paper. Oops. This is the only problem with these horizontal pieces. They're difficult to. Let's get into this. Difficult.
Hey, Osiris.
Oh, hi, Osiris.
Hey. Okay, you guys, I'm late because I couldn't find the class. It's frustrating.
Right. Just trying to see if we can. There we go. Okay, I'm gonna sketch in my cow because I want you to be able to see the whole process. I'm gonna make my cow a little bit smaller, right? So I'm sketching in. No, even smaller than that. I'm trying to kind of create a little rectangle that's the same. Oh, well, hell, I'm just gonna go up here. Here we go. All right, there we go. So I'm gonna start by sketching in, I'm gonna draw in, as usual, the main shapes that I see in this figure. This guy takes up most of the page. So it should be fairly simple that way. We'll start with that shape. And and then I'm going to start with a very watery, I've got my watery ink layer here. I'm going to start with just a very watery.
Am I in the wrong class? Are we drawing or what are we doing? Am I
We're
in the?
doing ink. You're in the right class.
Okay.
We're drawing with ink, but you can draw with whatever you want. But since I'm introducing a new material, here we go. So you see how, like, I'll put this up so you guys can see this, the whole thing. You can see how light. See how light that is? That's really the beginning. Just like that. And if you mess up, you've got your blanket in the one hand. And I'm going to put this here so you can see it. So something that I also like to have as I'm working on this is a separate piece of paper. This is where I absolutely have no room, so I'm just going to have to show it to you. A separate piece of paper where I can test my color, I can test before I go on to my regular paper. So before I start my drawing, I actually have this paper down here. I'm like, oh. So say I want to start my drawing, I go like this, oh, too dark. I go back into my water, right? That's a lighter color. Of course, I'm using green because unfortunately that's what I have today. You should be using black and white, but actually, of course, you don't have to be using anything. So let me take a picture of this setup and then I'm gonna give you to send across the WhatsApp thread, and then I'm gonna give this to you up close, your, yeah. So my whole thing looks like this. Right, there's the sketch.
It looks cut off on the screen.
I'm getting it there. It's too big.
Oh.
I can't fit everything,
Oh,
so I'm
okay.
taking a picture. Roll with me. I got you. I swear to God, I got you. I got you. It's a step-by-step process. It's really hard when one doesn't know. I'm just trying to figure out where to put this so it doesn't. It'll move me down. That's what's going to. All right, there we go. So go ahead and try. Get that outline. As you can see, it takes up most of the paper. And I don't, since I'm really pushing the medium use and not the measuring as much, I'm not going to be such a
Hard
I
ass.
want a hard ass. Yes, I'm not going to be such a hard ass today on that. I more want you to get used to kind of getting the bigger shapes.
I was joking, of course, you know.
Oh, yeah, I am a hard ass. But I try to be gentle. Anyway, do I really? I don't know. Yeah, no, I don't want to be. Yes, I was like, what? I told Sandra as I was looking up, I
We
often,
love you just the way you are.
excellent. Thank you, my loves. I love you guys too. I missed you on my vacation. I was like, oh, I thought about y'all a lot.
Oh, no. You didn't want to think about us on your vacation.
I did.
Oh, then you need more vacation.
Says the woman who never takes a vacation.
Whoops.
Got me there.
All right, so now I have my outline, but it's totally wrong and it's dry. So,
Why don't you try doing it again and just working over
okay,
the outline, just working right over it. So let the marks stay, the original marks stay on. They're so light, right, that they'll kind of dry. And so that's a great question. So try it. And when you think you have it, here, I'll send a picture of this. Where I think I've kind of got it. Send it over. Is anybody finding this kind of interesting? More interesting than you thought? Compelling? Here, I'll send a picture of the cow too.
It's very compelling to watch you.
It's fun. It's such a great, it's just so, oops, nope, didn't do that. Here, hold on, I'm trying to position everything. The problem is you need more stuff. So here, I'm taking pictures of the cow so you can see it up close.
Diana, is that you?
Yeah.
Sure is.
Did you get my message yesterday? We can talk about it offline, but did you get it?
No. I have problems with my email because the friggin' GoDaddy has changed their system and I have
That's what it is.
That's what's going on. Well,
I
listen,
have-
we had a big death in the press club thing, so I'll talk to you about it offline. That's why I
That's
called you to let you know I don't know what to do. I sent it out, the release out.
Bettina,
but I
that
need to
looks
know.
great.
Who died?
I'll let you know. I'll send you a text right now.
Okay.
That looks great, Bettina. Anybody else want to send theirs in? And I'll move us to the next stages. So,
it's so not good, but
remember, well, let's see it. Let us be the
just
judge.
going with it.
Go with it. Yeah, Nate, I'm so proud of you guys. Honestly, letting go of that, letting go of it having to be right is such a huge amount of growth. I just saw Brene Brown talk about perfectionism, and she talked about how perfectionism is a coping mechanism that it was the way she said, I'm trying to remember exactly the word. She was like, perfectionism is not trying to be better. It's actually holding you back. It's making sure that you'll never be better. And it's a specific kind of coping mechanism, right? We all know it because I know we all have it here. Everybody has it here. I'm not calling anybody out because every single one of us has it. But it's this interesting idea that your perfectionism is unattainable. So you're able to stay in the same place, right? So it's a very clever brain thing. So to say, hey, I'm not sure, but maybe, let's see. Oh, Nancy, yeah, great. Oh, Osiris, yeah, yep. You guys got it. All right. Are you using ink, Osiris? Nice.
Colored pencil.
Okay, great. Excellent. All right, everybody. So now you see these next set of lines. So once again, with your very light brush, you'll see here, I'll demonstrate it first quickly, right? With your very light brush, still, so watered down, can you guys see all of it? I know you can't see the whole cow. Wait, but I will show you the whole cow when I'll move it over so you can see. I want you to see the sketch. So I'm here, I'm checking, I've still got very loose, watery things. And now I'm gonna try. Okay, so these are, I'm gonna try and outline some of the whites that I see. Like that. It's a little hard to see, you can't even like. Give me just a little bit more. I'm sorry, my cow is green today. Okay. And really observe how light everything really is, because eventually we're going to get our final lines down and they may not, you know, fit exactly. Okay, there's a little bit of, oh, I forgot this. See, I totally forgot there's this line here for the neck, so I'm going to bring that in. Yeah, I guess I didn't mess that up too much. There we go. So what I also really love about ink is it kind of urges you forward in a way that other materials don't. You're just like, oh, gotta keep going. Figure this out. Like Nancy was like, I got this first one wrong, right? So how do I do that? I'm like, just keep working over it, because you've got these very light lines. So here's how the second stage looks. Oh my God, sorry, I'm so excited because I love this process so much. It just makes me so happy. All right, I'm gonna put this over here and let you guys try it. So everything's done with these really light inks. Did anybody else get these synthetic brushes?
I did.
I love them.
I have some.
I love them. I'm talking about the synthetic bamboo brushes. The sumi brushes that have the little point, right? These are fantastic. They're hard to find because most of these brushes are made from goat hair, but these are not. These are synthetic.
We don't want that. We don't want goat hair.
Right? We don't, you know, I'm embarrassed that I didn't think about it. I just really like, I never even thought about it. And it was interesting when I called the art store, I had to get help because I couldn't find them on my own. I called the art store, I'm like, and in Portland, you know, the art stores are all very aware of all this cruelty-free stuff and blah, blah, blah. And they were like, oh my God, yeah, I don't think we have anything here that's cruelty-free in that. So they're like, we'll look around. And they couldn't order any, but they did find the place where you could get them.
Good for you. Yay.
Yay. No, good for
Nothing to be
you,
embarrassed
Nancy.
about.
Good.
No, you know, it's just all, it's hard to, I don't know how to say it. It's just, oopsie. I can't concentrate on this and talk vegan.
Yeah, don't worry. We'll talk later. Talk later.
Lanky bear.
And I want you to accept that perhaps the first drawing you're not so happy with. So that's what I want you to keep in mind. First drawing, I might do it well. I might not. You're guessing, and you're all kind of still new at the, you know, anticipating measurement process. So I want you to keep in mind that as you do this, we might try it again. I might have you try it again. So I'm waiting for mine to dry. You guys, oh, did I send a picture of it over? Yes. Yes. So you can see how light my marks still are and loose. Ooh, Julia, I like how that looks. That looks great.
So Leah, for the front, the cow's chest,
Yeah.
which that looks like it's to the, you know, it's the, yes, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Why is that? Are you treating that, that's not a white area, but you're just kind of marking it off because it is different?
It's because I can see the line. This is darker, this is lighter. I'm not thinking about it as the child's chest, the blah, blah, blah. I'm thinking about shapes. So these shapes are, I would call this a 5 and a 2. I would call this a 4, a 5, 4.5, and a 4. They're literally different because this is pushed, this is farther away, so it's a little bit mushier. Can you not see that? It's hard to see in this. If you look at the original, you'll see it. Let me get the original so you can look at it again.
Because
Yeah,
maybe it's because to me it looks like the black cuts over halfway, and that lighter
didn't look like that to me. It didn't look like that to me, but let me look. This is not the best of photocopies. So let me get back to let me pull it up from the front of the thread. Oh no, it's doing that. Oh, I see what you're saying. Here, hold on. Yeah, it's kind of, well, I guess it doesn't really matter if this is here. I see your point. Point taken. Let's do this.
You could just draw it a little
How's
different.
that? How's that? Erasing this, doing that.
Now I understand.
Yep. You're making, and I understand too. And it's a good point. And now I'm going to fix it here. So notice I'm not freaking out, even though I have a line that shouldn't be there. And that's because this line is in the dark part. So I know I'm going to be able to cover it up. Interesting, eh? Going to be able to cover that up. You're right. Sorry. That was a bad photo. Pay attention to that. So I can't really erase this. But so Julia is there. I'm going to, do you guys want to look at this a little bit longer, or do you want me to pop you to the next step and then you can, let me show you the next step. So now we're going to, now that we have a sense of kind of where things are, we're going to start building up our darks. So I want you to look at this, right? So now I'm using more ink. I'm going to use more ink and less water. See that? That's like kind of significantly darker.
But did you just do that just by dipping in your jar, or what?
No, I did dip in water, but lightly. I dipped in the jar and then dipped in the water, but lightly.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Excellent. Good question. And now, see how, and so I'm avoiding the light areas. Maybe sometimes you don't always make it, don't worry. I think I got a little bit into a light area that shouldn't be there. So yeah, I'm just using more. I'm still dipping in water, but I'm not really going to be able to erase as easily at this point. However, if I get lines in the wrong place, there are strategies that can be used. So see how I'm just kind of working. Okay, so now here's where it gets confusing, right up here. So see, I just got rid of that, where Nancy very rightly correct, or sorry, where Bettina very rightly corrected me on my lines. I can just roll right over that line. Now you don't even see it. So erasing with ink does happen. It happens like erasing with pencil. And notice I'm still going around. Yeah, I guess we'll see. I also don't have the right paper this morning, so we're seeing who is ill prepared this morning. Notice it's kind of drawing a little bit lighter. Now, there's a little place in where the eye, you can see a little bit of the eye. So I'm kind of leaving a bit of a circle here. I'm going to fill it in later. But see how I'm leaving just this little light area, which is really the only place we can see the eye, which is why this is a perfect subject. See that? So all of a sudden, I have something that looks a little bit more cow-like. I'm just working on my darkest areas right now. We've got these, and it has a kind of expressive quality to it. they can't exactly control. It's kind of interesting. I'm going to put this up once again. Here, I'll send my picture over. And then I'm going to move this over so you guys can really focus on it. So once again, don't worry about getting this perfect. Don't even worry about this drawing working or not. Go through the process so that we can try it again. You can see we're like moving pretty quickly. Struggling with your face there? That you're
Yeah,
working
a
on?
little bit. I'll send you. It looks like her though. I mean, that's the good thing.
Do you want to send it? Do you want to send me the source so I can look at the source? Or can I help, I guess, is in any way or no?
I don't know. I'll send you, see what you.
Yeah, send it over.
It's
If I
more
can
a
help.
question of coloring. She looks a
But
little bit better in the picture, in the painting, actually.
Hey, that's the idea. That means that's what we're really trying to do here. We're trying to make our friends look really, really great. Yes.
But I'll send it for fun. So that's the source. And that's the painting.
Okay. All right, hold on. I think I know what the problem is. Let me check it.
Yeah, the eyes are a little bit too big, but that's okay. That's okay, actually.
Yeah, and you know, she doesn't really have eyebrows, which is fascinating.
No, she doesn't. She's like me. She doesn't have eyebrows.
You don't have eyebrows either? I have never noticed that. You wear glasses, I guess. That's how we see.
Yeah. Now you
Um,
can see. Now you can see. I have no eyebrows.
Oh yeah, look at that. Because you're so light, you
see-
got such
I wanna
light hair.
see.
Here,
I
hold
wanna
on. I'll
see.
pop her out. I'll pop her up. Let's see.
Oh.
Show us. Show us.
I have no
Here, hold on.
eyebrows.
There we are. Oh yeah, look at that.
Did you shave them off like the Asian people do, or did you just don't
No,
have
I
any
guess
eyebrows?
No,
Don't
she
have-
just doesn't have them. She's just too light.
I have eyebrows, but they so light, so they don't.
They're like
show.
albino eyebrows. You can hardly
Yeah.
see them. They're light, fair skin.
Yeah.
Because
You
my
know, Diana,
Asian,
I think it's. Oh, I'm
my
just-
Asian sister, they take their eyebrows off purpose.
Wow. I feel like Diana, there's a little something for likeness. There's a little something with the chin. If you look at it upside down, I think here, hold on, I'm looking at him upside down.
Yeah, I'm not an upside downer, so just
But
tell
if
me.
you look at, well, the chin needs to extend down slightly on her. So it comes down just a touch and it's mostly shadow. So this is what's happened. Your dark shadow is underneath the chin and, you know, underneath on the neck. And that's what it looks like. And really it's part of the chin. So as you extend it down on, so you know how her chin kind of comes here, I'm going to show you.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
I
point to
know.
my, do you know what
I
I'm
know.
saying? It's
Yeah,
just a tiny thing. It's a little tiny thing in terms of showing the length of her face. There's a little bit, if you can. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that one. I didn't want her to
So-
look like a horse.
But she doesn't. I don't think she will. I mean, try it. You can always take it out if you
Yeah.
don't like it. But
Yeah, I can. I'll try it.
I think she's kind of mesmerizing looking myself.
She's a nice person.
Yes.
She's a nice person. She is the city editor at LA Daily News.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, was a newspaper that hardly exists anymore.
Wow.
it's so tiny.
That's excellent.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I guess I have to.
Just a tiny bit. It's not, it's just a teeny little bit. I think it will. I don't think it'll look horsey.
I'll try it.
Anybody want to send theirs over? It's okay if you're not like, I'm only kind of half meh with mine right now. We're gonna do it again after we do it this one time. Anyway, I'll wait to see a couple and then I'll go on to the next thing. I've tried to get better about teaching this in stages. Because it is so hard. So I want you to really take it easy on yourselves in terms of like what it is. Nice, Osiris, just keep getting your darks in. Get your darks in. Ooh, Julia, nice. Look at Julia's. Julia did a much better job of preserving her eye than I did, that little white spot of the eye. Good job, Julia. It looks great. Julia, you may be at the point where you can start, I'm looking, you may want to add in a couple midtones, which partly means darkening your darks, right? Again, and also means kind of doing a watered down light. But you also might want to start working with your bamboo pen to create some contour lines here around the edges. Do you know what I'm talking about on that?
Yep.
Okay, I can demonstrate that for you guys right now so you can see where we're going with this. Julia's done this before, I think, right? Haven't you?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
did
yeah.
some ink bust,
So
yeah,
it's fair to say that if you've done it before, you're more familiar with the process. So there are a couple of things that you can do at this point. One of these things that I'm going to do is start adding strong, dark contour lines to get the kind of outer shapes of the cow. See how I'm doing this? I'm not doing everything, but look what that does. And if I need to kind of correct shape, like here I'm like, oh, my brush kind of went too wide. Let's see how I can use this to start to, and my extra kind of mushy lines, they just become part of the drawing in kind of a neat way. This is a long process because you've got to, and then there's some things in here. See how all of a sudden my cow, and now the other thing I noticed, I'm going to try and fix here. I'm going to try and fix this by bringing in my light area a little bit here. See how I'm kind of outlining it? And if I want to, I can even do a couple of these. Not too many, but you know. But not too many, because you don't really need that many. We're going simple here. Doesn't it start to look kind of neat? Is anybody finding this kind of neat looking? I think it's really cool. Now I can also see that I need to get darker. So I'm going to go in with my dark ink now, no water. And go in and darken. See how I can come in here and darken? So I can get over here. I can bring in here. So see how I can keep layering my darks. I still put my light in the right and my eye in the wrong place, but just gonna live with that for now. I don't know if I can do, actually, I don't know if I can do that here. I'm gonna cover that up. We'll see how this works. I move my eye up. I'm gonna go dark all the way around it. Oh shit, totally lost it. All right, may not have an eye on this round. I might have to go again to get this to happen. So you see how like you start to make your cow, you start to push your lights and your darks, and you've got these strong lines. You've got these kind of watery lines. Some of them kind of blend in and out. Let's see. So this is where we're going with this. So on this first one, I want you to just explore the materials. Don't worry if you don't get everything exactly right. This is also really forcing. I didn't realize how great a subject this was, even though it's kind of boring. You can't really see a lot. It really is great for a beginning ink lesson, just so. Also, my cow is green. It's kind of ridiculous.
Would you
But
mind scooting a little bit left so we can see the drawing?
yeah, I'm just demoing for you
Okay.
quickly.
Oh, okay.
And then I
Okay.
can't fit them both is the problem. So I'm going to demo quickly just so that you can see the things you do. And then I'm going to put that drawing up, but I just want you to see how I'm starting to get, and I can even get just one more thing. I'm going to do a very light because this white is kind of lighter. Oops, that's too dark. I can start to get kind of like lighter washes down in here, right? And then go darker here. So you can add your midtones in. So we do this kind of gradual build. It's definitely darker down here. It's definitely super dark here. See how I'm pushing my kind of light and dark areas. I kind of cocked up my eye. I'm not really going to have it. I wonder if I can pull it out. No. Probably not. I kind of lost my eye. So in my next one, I'm going to be more careful to preserve a little light. I put it in the wrong place. So in the next one, I'm going to be a little bit more careful to put it in the right place. But there you go. And if this one's a little hard to see some of the details, if you want to get more detail, you can do a picture across the thread. But it's good to see less detail actually as you're just starting out here. Yeah, so mine's like only okay, but we'll see.
So Annika is actually coming to my house in an hour or so.
Oh, you're kidding? Just to hang out?
No, you know, they don't have any AC in their house.
Oh, God.
And I have one of those portable
Units.
ACs that's pretty good, actually, you know, like a decent one that was like 600.
Excellent. So she's
So-
gonna come and get that?
So I'm giving that to her. Because I don't need it. I don't need
In the
it.
magical house.
So kind of you.
How
That's
far
kind.
is she? Yeah, how far is she from you right now in the new place?
Over 100 miles. So
Oh,
yeah.
wow. So you'll have lunch
She's
and
earning
visit.
that. She's earning-
She's, I don't know, because she's bringing her dog, so I don't know. I don't know if she gets along with, I don't think she gets along with other dogs.
Oh, we'll see.
Yeah.
This dog is trouble. Her dog is trouble. In a good way, but you know.
Yeah, I think, you know, they've had her not socialized because of pandemic, and they got her during the pandemic. So
This is the one that went running through the fields and they almost lost her.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they moved.
Well, she's a beagle.
She's a beagle. Beagles have their own minds. All right, I can already see that I'm going to want to do this again, but I'm wanting you to really, and this is really why I do this the way I do it, right? I do not practice these beforehand. I want you to see that this is part of the process. This is not, it's okay, but I'm going to try it again. And so I want you to let your first one just be like, meh. And then I want you to try it again. Because you see, it's 9 o'clock. We have a whole hour. How quickly, and we're basically kind of mostly through a drawing. So ink goes fast. With figure, I really, really love ink. I love doing figure drawing with a live bottle and ink. You get some really amazing stuff. I can show you a couple of. I knocked my computer over. Let me get a couple just to give you some ideas about mark making as well, because that's probably, oh, I do have this cat drawing I did in ink here. Hold on. Just to give you a couple of quick ideas here. This is like working from a live model, figure drawing in ink.
That's amazing.
Look at them, but look at how much the original lines are kind of bleeding out from the figure. They add to the drawing. I think so, but I'm kind of this is my favorite, one of my favorite pieces.
Oh,
This is Jackie Lipton's cat.
Aw.
Right? So we don't really like it for its perfection. It's a little bit the wonky, at least for me. For me, it's a little bit the simplified wonkiness of it. That's part that can kind of add to it. So I wanted to show these to you just to show you how loose they can get. I'll take a couple pictures and send them across. But this is, I just want to kind of inspire you in what ink can do. Here, hold on. For me, there's a few things in life that really loosen me up. I'm kind of a stickler for, for I don't want to say perfection, but for, for realism. But this is where I'm like, yeah, I'd rather do this. So I'm just sending those across so you can kind of see. I'll take a look at that in just a second.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. See that? I think that got it. I think you did it. And she doesn't look horsey. She actually looks quite lovely.
Do I need to work on the background, or do you think it works as it is?
Good question. It could use a little, I like it mostly, but it could use a little pushing back. So maybe another, I'm just trying to think of what color it would be that would.
But a little bit darker, right? So
I don't know about that.
No?
I think she might look too stark. I was actually thinking a little lighter. But I wondered if I was thinking about maybe glazing it in ochre or something, just to see what happens.
But then it gets the same color as her face.
Yeah, I know. Look, hold on. What if you tried it and if it was too much, you just went back and put a little bit more blue on top.
Yeah, I'll try it.
Yeah, I see what you mean. It's competing a little bit with her. And in some cases, you want it to be a very stark background, but sometimes, you want this really strong contrast. Sometimes it kind of helps to have the background kind of blend into parts of the face. You know what I mean? A little bit of the subject. So
Okay, I'm
it's worth trying. I don't know if I'm right on this though. I just feel like I agree with you. There's a little bit more that can be done. Not super, but just a little bit.
Yeah, I'll do it. I'm trying it.
Diane, I'm going to show you a picture of a painting I'm working on. It's a landscape, but it kind of employs a similar principle to what you're talking about. I'll show you a piece of it.
Okay.
You can see what I'm talking about. Can you see how on the grasses kind of blending into the background?
Did you
I
send
did.
it?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you take a look, this is not finished yet, but can you see how the sort of grasses are a little bit blending into the background? The front grasses are on the right are blending into the background. And I like that. So it might be that's why I'm thinking it. I kind of like it. It feels a little subtle to me. Like there's a subtle shift. And it strikes me that she seems like kind of a subtle person. Or maybe she isn't. But she has a look, right? She may not be subtle at all. She might be a hard ass.
No, that if there's something she's not.
Not as subtle, but like it might help to treat the subject with a little bit more subtlety. So if her hair is kind of a little bit blending into the background, she's not looking so stark. You know what I'm saying? Stark.
She is a provocateur. She used to be a provocateur.
Yes. I love a woman provocateur. Yeah, so it's just purely how she looks. It's the subtlety of her looks, right? She's got a kind of lightness in all everywhere. So it might actually help to, and this is, I'm only talking about this because it's just worth a try. If you don't like it, you can always darken it.
No, I think it works.
Yeah.
I think it works.
It's funny, isn't it? It's a very different way than we're used to thinking. We're used to our background really being like, but it's kind of nice in some ways for the background to be a little bit softer and lighter and have like your light edges fall back into it.
Yeah, I'm doing that.
Yeah,
it actually works.
Pat K was painting. Let me. There's another example of this. Let me see if I can find it. It's in the Sunday group. I'll see if I can pull it over. She was painting these daisies, and she had this really strong blue background, and the daisies look so flat. And once she lightened the background and part of the daisies kind of lightened into the and sort of faded into the background, it looked like significantly better. So let me see if I can find that as well. Similar idea.
I can scroll at the Sunday class.
It's no, let me find it because I'd love to show it. Oh, here it is. It's just right here. So here's her first one. Here's what she started with. And then here's what she, where's Sunday? Here's what she ended with. Look at that difference. I mean, the photo isn't, but see how like the bottom flower kind of fades off a little bit and how much more dynamic this looks now. I guess it's that concept of lost edges. I guess that's really helpful for some subjects, for lighter subjects.
Made a big difference.
Right? So it's similar to what you're dealing with, even though it's an entirely different subject.
It's also that now the background is not flat.
Right. So the background has a shift up, which is, but she went a lot lighter and lower than I thought she would. And I really like how it turned out. So really the similarity is it's light subject matter. It's very, very light. Sometimes it helps to have a lost edge to make it look less stark, to make it look, have a little bit of the background be kind of light like the subject. And yeah, I thought it looked really, I was like, when she sent it at the end, she was just kind of working away and she sent it at the end and I was like, holy shit, that looks amazing. Look at it. The difference is incredible. So it's this same idea of edges, right? Like how we deal with edges. And you know, it's a kind of more advanced painting technique. I think you get to a point where you can kind of see where that works. Also, you guys, I'm having a studio sale here today, and I've invited a potter, a ceramicist, to come and show her stuff. Can I send you a picture of what she set up last night? Can I send you a picture of it? It's totally cute.
Sure.
It's so ridiculous. Look at this.
Yeah, I think this works, Leah. Thank you.
Aren't those fantastic?
Where?
They're in my studio. They're on the thread.
Oh, what? Oh,
The WhatsApp.
Oh, they're adorable.
Aren't they adorable? Her studio is called Studio Blob Studio. Studio Blob.
All right.
I just, oh my God, I cannot, like, every time I just keep looking over there. It's where my desk normally is, and all their stuff is on it. I'm like, they're so cute.
Yeah, there is that.
Isn't that funny?
They are cute.
They're really, they have a, she really has a
They are
lot.
cartoons in clay.
Yes. And in fact, this is ultimate Portland in my mind. In my mind, this is as Portland as you get for art. This is what is appreciated in Portland. I love them myself. I'm not normally a little creature like person like that. I don't like this wonky stuff, but I'm like, oh my God, it looks so great. All right, let's see how we're doing. Oh, Bettina, wonderful. So use your, excellent. So get a little darker down here.
Wow.
You can
Wow.
add, I like it. Add a little, you can get a little bit darker up here with your pen if you want to. Or if you're like, I'm kind of sick of this, I'd like to try it again, start it again. Like, or keep working on it. But I think it's great. Nancy, oh my God. Hey, you guys did a much better job of preserving your little eye crescent than I did. Very nice work there. Very nice work. Isn't it fun?
Yeah.
It's totally fun. It's not like, so, all right. So I want you to try it again. I want you all to try it again. Do it again, start over. Think about like what you did that you want to make sure you don't do on the next level. And notice I'm also being very careful not to, when we get to more difficult subjects, I might have you start with a pencil drawing first, and then you can do that with ink, but I don't want you to. On this level, I want you to see how expressive the marks themselves are. Oh yeah, yeah, I like that better. Isn't that weird, Diana? It works.
Yeah.
It totally works. So there's just something about light subjects. They need a lighter.
Yeah.
I love it. Now I think it's done.
All right. Thank you.
I don't think you have to do anything else. Are you going to give it to her?
Yeah.
I think she'll love it. And I think you're right. I think it makes her look even a little bit better, which is what, of course, while looking exactly like her.
Yep.
That's a kind of magician's touch. Very nice. All right, so try it again. Here's your guy. Try it again. Make a decision. I might try it too. I have the wrong paper. That's also part of it. I have wrong everything today. But I'll start it. I'll start one again in a minute. But I'm liking what I'm seeing here.
Oh, no. Oops.
Oh, Julia, very nice. I like how you use some of the textures in there. Can you talk to us a little bit about, is there anything you can talk to us about in your process? I like how you outline the ear. Yeah, so part of the problem is this copy is so terrible that you can't even see where the ear is. I like how you got that in.
Yeah, I think it's a bit easier when you're working off the screen because you get a bit more of the kind of
detail.
definition. Yeah.
Yep. That's gorgeous. So look at how you guys, she handled that eye. She got a little bit of detail around it. I like this sketch. Okay, do it again. I want to see what happens. Do it again. Do it one more time. We've got 45 minutes. And then we'll go to more complex subjects, slightly more complex. I'll try not to make it too hard, but I'm really loving the results I'm seeing here, you guys. So I don't know how you're feeling about it, but I'm really loving it.
It's good. It's not as impossible as it appeared.
Yes. Notice how simple it makes things, right? Like how lights and dark, really it forces you to focus on these light, dark shapes, the bigger ones. You can't really focus on every little hair. There's no point. Like it doesn't compute, you know, like the materials kind of force you in a direction. And I really like that. Anything that kind of pushes you. Now for me, I got excited because ultimately as a drawer, I am very painterly. This is an incredibly painterly way of using these materials. That is the bias you're going to get from me as a teacher. But it also really it just loosened me up. And you can see that my ink drawings are different from everything else I do. Well, that's not entirely true. They're starting to be more of a little bit of a melding, but I kind of it kind of forces you to accept, there's a kind of radical acceptance that ink requires. So you can share your first attempts or not, or you can just try a second one and see how it works. You really did a good job on that portrait, Diana. I like it. I'm still looking at it.
Thank you.
Still looking. How big was it? 8 by
It's
10?
small. I think it's, no, it's small. It's maybe 10 by 10.
10 by 10, nice. Very
Yeah.
nice. She'll love it.
Yeah, I didn't want to do something really.
Does she volunteer at the press club things?
Yeah, she does a lot.
Yeah. So this is a kind of little thank you for her.
Yeah, she was, you know, back in the day, she was actually the president of the press club.
Really?
Yeah, she used to be the editor for LA Weekly.
Mm-hmm.
And she's done a lot for the press club. She's been out of journalism for a while, and now she's back again.
Got it.
I'm looking for when we did the cow,
Which one?
the weirdly looking one. The one, you know, the distorted nose.
Oh, I might be able to find that. Hold on. That was a while back. Let me see if I can find it I'm on my computer here. Let me see if I can find it in one of my
I'm
files.
looking in my.
I'll take a look too. distorted. Was it one of my photos?
I think so. I think so.
Might have been one of my photos from the farm.
I think so.
Let me see. Looking.
Okay, I found the painting. I found it. I found it.
Where, can you send it across so I can see it? Oh, I'm
Yeah,
amazed.
I just have to see how I do that. I'm gonna first send it over to my other place so I don't have to look again. It was
I got you. Yep.
February 2021.
You are amazing. Can't believe it.
Okay. Now I also gonna send it. Done with that. Then we're gonna go to WhatsApp.
Now you've just spoken what goes on in my head all class. Now I'm sitting in here, then I'm going here. Oh yeah, that guy. That's Haribo, the cow. That's my friend Sheila has a farm in Scotland. I go visit her every couple years and she has cows and pigs. Hi Harry. I love Harry.
Yeah, I made that painting in, weird, in funny colors. I really like. I made in blue and pink, I think.
Yes, I remember. Actually, this would be a good ink subject. We might try this next week where we spend a little bit more time on the drawing. Anyway, we'll see. I like it. Harry, she's such a good girl.
I'm gonna write so.
Such a good girl.
And I gave that painting away to a friend. So.
So are you going to try a different set of colors
Yeah.
this time?
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. I love it.
I think purple this time. I think she's gonna be purple this time. It's such a funny, weird angle.
I know, isn't it great? That was I took those in January of 2020. I managed to get out of the country right before shit went down.
Yeah. I guess my mom was here 21 then, I guess.
Yes, yes.
When was that? No, she was here
No,
2020.
2020. She was here
Yeah.
in 2020.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Just before it hit.
Yep. The before and the after times.
Yeah.
Although really,
But we're still in the during time, so
we're still in the during times.
yeah. It's- No, I need a canvas.
All right, you guys, give me just a second. I'll be right back. How's it going, everybody? Are you enjoying it? Anybody want to send anything through?
I'm into my second one.
Let's see. Is it fun?
It's fun, but I'm not
Yeah.
ready to share yet.
All right. All right. You got half an hour. Don't worry.
I think one of the things I'm just struggling with is liking my marks when I fill in the big.
Yes. Yes. So I want you to like, Bettina, that is actually such a huge, what you said is so huge. I went through many years where I hated my mark making, or I didn't like it, kind of like the way, and there's things you can do to adjust it, but you also do have to, it's kind of like the girls who have curly hair want straight hair and the girls who have straight hair want curly hair, you know what I mean? It's kind of like that thing that's happening. So I'm really glad you brought it up because ink really forces you into radical acceptance. And that includes your mark making. I used to think that my mark making was really stubby and scruffy and ugly, right? Like I could look at other people doing these long, smooth things with their paintbrushes, with their marks. And, but ink really helped me accept what I just do. So there is a kind of like letting, it's just such an important thing to bring up because you'll have this, you might have this reaction of, ooh, it doesn't, mine doesn't look like Julia's, mine doesn't look like Leah's, mine doesn't look like Nancy's, you know, mine doesn't look like Diana's, mine doesn't look like Osiris's. But in actuality, this is part of the process, is learning how to work with what you've got. And
Sort of you're trying to figure out how the medium works, but also you've got a particular kind of handwriting in a way.
Exactly. And so instead of, so it's a beautiful thing to see that so early in the process. I went for many years, just kind of like, I'd say good 10 years, kind of questioning everything I did. And if you can get past that quicker, you're going to go much quicker. Like you're going to go quickly if you can kind of get past that. I mean, fortunately, we're all grown-ups now, right? So we actually have the capacity to do that. I think that's like the amazing thing is you can actually catch yourself. It's not that we don't have these negative voices in our head, is that we catch it quicker. Like, and can like go, wait a minute, that's not helpful, not working, not useful for me, right? Like that's the only thing we can really do. And that's a good thing to keep in mind. And it was so beautifully phrased too, because that is exactly it. I'm having a hard time accepting my marks. Wonderful.
It was one of the things I liked most about ink last year, because I was really struggling to kind of get out of my own way, and it makes you go faster. And
it does. And you kind of have to push through, right?
You do. It's just like,
it's just like chop, chop. And it's a beautiful, Osiris, I've put the ink supply
Like the
list.
military.
Right, in a way, yeah.
Oh, you scared of water? Here, throw you in there.
Yeah, go into the water. Don't like water, going into the water. But
You scared of
imagine
this going up there, bam.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really, that's exactly it. Ink pushes you forward quickly. It forces you to essentialize in a way that we don't do when we can grip our pencil tightly, when we can erase with our charcoal, right? We just don't do it. But what's really nice about ink are the darks are richer, and richer than you can get with any other medium. And the brushwork becomes part of that. You become more aware of who you are as an artist by your art making. Let's see. Oh, Osiris, wonderful. Keep going, keep going. He's adorable. Keep going. It's great. Yeah, one of the things I had to really accept as a painter and an artist is how messy I was, right? Like I'm a messy person. Anybody who knows me, who sits and looks at my clothes, could walk, I can see that mess is part of who I am. And I'm okay with it, but it bothered me as an artist until I realized, wait a minute. I'm a messy
You're an
person.
artist.
Right, I'm a messy person and my art is kind of messy. And
right.
It has pushed my messiness. In accepting my messiness, I've been able to find a kind of looseness that was really helpful. It's like helpful.
When did you learn to trust your hand?
It was long. I would say it was a good 5 or 10 years before I really began to trust my hand, because I was very obsessed with learning how to draw, which I didn't know how to do. So and of course I was 30 when I started. So all I did was look around at everybody who'd been doing this a long time and thought there's no way.
Younger than I was.
Right. Well, yeah, but you know that feeling when you're looking around and you're like, shit. But then I looked at Van Gogh, who was really instructional to me, because Van Gogh really only drew and painted for about 7 or 8 years. He didn't start till he was an adult. If you look at he spent a couple years really pushing his drawing. He realized he wasn't going to draw like a master. And it's that pushing of technique and skill level that created this explosion in his work, right? Like he spent a lot, and he was very intentional about it. He knew what he was doing. He knew what he couldn't do, and he knew what he was trying to do. Sadly, it is too bad. I mean, and his art changed the world. I mean, the world of painting, his art changed everything, that explosion. And that made me feel better. That was like a very, in fact, very early in my art career. Let's see. So I was 30. I had been a journalist. I had lived in Asia. I worked for Time magazine. I had a fellowship from a prestigious like organization to go to Mongolia and teach journalism. I came back to the US when I was 30 and I started painting. And because I didn't, because I wasn't very good at it, and I decided like the journalism world was too heady, I started working as a bartender at the Seattle Art Museum and taking classes in painting. And the first exhibit that I worked at as a bartender was at this cafe, was the Van Gogh exhibit. So I would go up every day and look at those paintings, but I also would watch people come down from seeing the paintings. And what I noticed was particularly men came down looking like they were going to cry all the time. And I think it gave me a lot of compassion for men in a way that, you know, you can get kind of frustrated with men because they, you know, have all this privilege and blah, blah, blah. But what I saw is that men saw his failure in the world, right? Like his own personal failure in the world of trying to be a normal human being, right? An upright guy. And yet, like, here is this painter who changed the world. And so you can see all these men walking down just looking stricken. Like, oh, wow, everything I'm doing, maybe I'm in the wrong, you know what I mean? Like questioning. Do you know what I mean?
I do. I get so angry though that all of these people, like I do a great deal of research and I love to study and I'm very visual and all that, but especially with painters, because I don't know anything. I just started 8 years ago, you know, so whenever it was and late in my life, and didn't know I was an artist until something happened to me, something very drastic. But anyway, and it just makes me so angry that the society is so slow and so, I don't want to say stupid, but just so retarded. Yes. That it takes this, the artists are always 10, 15, 20 years ahead of everybody. Yeah. And it just bothers me so much that these people went through so much and all these people are making money off of them and they starved. Yeah, it really bothers me.
And you know, it's not just that, Osiris, like Van Gogh really suffered.
Oh my gosh, really the way they treated him and now everybody's like, oh yeah, oh now we're gonna be an artist, and it really fucking pisses me off. It's like, you know what? Don't talk to me until you have some experience. Don't talk. I'm serious. Like,
yeah, you know, I read this book recently, a novel about sort of set with real characters at the time of Van Gogh's like last year of his life. It was told from the perspective of the doctor who treated him, who loved art, and he's a real person. His son ended up collecting a lot, and the doctor gave a really, you know, Van Gogh was, I suspect he was bipolar. He would go through manic.
He was, yeah, he was.
He was bipolar. So there were times when he was completely lucid, and then he'd be like, I'm torturing everyone around me. Right? Because he couldn't control, he would have these crazy fits and he couldn't control them. And he thought the painting could keep them at bay, and they couldn't. It couldn't, right? The painting could not stop the swings. And this doctor, who was his friend and lived in that little town where he lived, tried to talk to him about it and but they were, you know, everybody was at the beginning of their knowledge about mental illness, this kind of mental illness. So, in this particular book, the suggestion is that the doctor left the weapon upon which Van Gogh asked the doctor to leave the weapon upon which he killed himself. It is very possible because the son of the doctor, who, you know, the doctor lived, the son of the doctor lived, the son of the doctor spent a lot of time with Van Gogh before, you know, he died. So it shows a very like, Yeah, he was tortured, but also aware of it.
Yeah.
Really too bad.
I have a friend that actually studied, she's been traveling with her exhibition about Van Gogh for, I don't know, 3-4 years now.
Yeah.
And I used to work with this photographer. She used to work at National Geographic.
Yeah.
And her and another National Geographic photographer, they went to France and they spent time at the hospital where he was treated and all the places where he was painting, and they did a deep dive into Van Gogh, and it's a fascinating exhibit because the hospital where he was treated is still there, so they talking to the doctors, and they're kind of interviewing the patients that's there now, and it's really interesting. It's I'm gonna pull up what it's called because they were here like 2-3 years ago, but they've been traveling all over the world with it.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
I know.
Have you
Go ahead.
have you guys seen Billy Trailer's work? I just got turned on to him like 3 days ago. Bill Trailer.
Why don't you
The
send
black
it
guy's
over?
like he died homeless and everything, and now they're showing his stuff at the Smithsonian, and they're comparing him to this, that one, and the other. But so
Can you
many
send some
people.
Can you send
Yeah,
stuff
and
over
have
the
you
thread?
guys heard of Samela Lewis? I mean, I'm learning about so many artists that they don't talk about, and it's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Because like years from now, there everybody go discover their work. Like, yeah, and the poor guy died in the streets homeless, and I'm like, oh, get out of my face. It really upsets me a lot about
It
the way the
is.
society, the greed of the society. That yeah, now that we can make some money off of art, let's everybody get involved in it because now it's worth something.
Yeah.
Like, ugh.
You know,
but
it's interesting.
That's also what happens in the capitalist society where you don't support art, and there are other societies looks differently at it.
And Diana, and one of my friends, I'm going to be quick. One of my friends is from the Netherlands. She said that on their money, they have artists as their people on their money. And that they make the artists, like they don't make artists distinct over there because they consider everybody an artist over there, and they make it really comfortable for them to be artists.
Yeah, where I come from, I'm from Sweden, where when you build something, all official buildings, I mean, even if it's a private hospital or whatever, 1% of the building cost has to go to original art.
Right.
And
we used to have that. We used to have a 5%, 1% for art thing. A lot of corporations did it in the 80s.
And
90s.
Then they had, and I think they're actually quitting it. They also have a lifetime salary for artists. So they pick out, like, I don't know how many artists, but mainly artists that currently can't live on their art, or they are poets or non-commercial artists, and they get a life salary, and it's not a lot, but I get like $2,000 a month for life.
Wow.
Yeah, and so they can,
as long as they're being artists, though, right? They can't get a job.
They can support them. They're not homeless. They don't have to die homeless. Right.
No,
wasn't Walt Whitman like kind of living in poverty till he was about 80? Somebody gave him a house.
Was he? I didn't know that about him.
I mean, he did okay, but yeah, I think like he lived pretty poorly, and then in 80 somebody was like, wait a minute, this is one of our major poets, let's give him a house. They gave him a house. But there's a lot of people who don't get that. One of the things I've learned, though, this is particularly true of women artists, is that actually, although you and I don't hear about them as often, they actually had a lot more credit given to them during the time they were alive. The issue is less about them getting opportunities to work and more about what happens to them in history.
Okay. You got it.
Right, like what
your internet
happens to
was-
them in history. So that's so like one of my favorites is Elizabeth V.G. LeBron. I mean, she's in the fucking Met. She was a painter in the 1700s. She made it into the Paris Salon. She was an extraordinary painter, and you know what? She's in the Met. She did okay. It's just later you don't hear about her as much, right? Like so during her lifetime, at least she got some exposure, some credibility because she was so good. But yeah,
Wow, you think it's
yeah, but like you won't
like
know her
Hilma
name.
off Clint? They're making a big deal out of her now.
Well, that's
Yeah.
because she set that up. She set that up to happen. That's a slightly different story. She actually put a cap on everything that she did until 50 years after her death. So
Yeah,
that's why they're making a big deal about her now, right? Because
I
she
love it.
thought, because she was smart. She thought, she was like, no one's going to accept this now, but they will. And she was absolutely right.
Yeah.
So like, it was brilliant. So
But she was-
actually,
The brilliance of women.
She was also rich, so she could do it.
she was also rich, right? So she had this idea to do it.
Yeah.
I'm thinking a lot of, it's an interesting thing to think a lot about how you preserve, how you kind of contain your historic, how you set up your artistic legacy. Like what happens after you die? If like you don't have people who carry on the work that you do, you will disappear. Like if not like within 100 years, like within 150, right? Like who will know your work? That's so fun, Diana. I want you guys to look at what Diana's doing here because it's very similar to what you're doing, except she's working with paint. You
Yeah,
see
it
that?
is. It
Similar
is.
mark making. It's almost exactly the same. Really great. That's so great. Oh, how
With the
fun.
colors I have on my palette.
Yes. Harry the cat.
There was a
Is
really
it-
good article in the FT today about art, and they were talking about how, of course, exactly what Osiris is saying, right? You sell your art, you sell it one time, you sell it for $1,000 or something, and then if you get popular, they sell it on, and the people who flip it, they
get the money.
They get the money, and you get nothing. And they're talking about taking an interest in your own art, right? So retaining a share, a 5%, 10%. Share in your own art
In
right?
the
So-
resale, right? You could include that in the contract. Yeah.
exactly. So
And how they-
then you can, and then that becomes part of your legacy, right? Because you can leave your estate to other people, and then they
That's a
want
great
to
idea.
preserve that, right? So it's a great way of kind of keeping things going.
What? And you leave your estate to someone and
Yeah, you say
Your
this is-
relatives, your
Yeah, your
kids,
relatives,
your
yeah.
grandkids.
Yeah.
wasn't
So-
it Van Gogh that his relatives used his painting because they were stupid and they
No.
used his paint as ways to somebody took his paintings without knowing how valuable they were and used them to cross over water to get to the horse barn because their place got stolen.
That sounds like a myth.
Yeah,
That's
that did not happen. In fact, Van Gogh's relatives are the reason he's famous. The people who survived him are the reasons he's famous. They worked tirelessly. His brother, his sister-in-law, actually, it was his sister-in-law because his brother didn't live very long after Van Gogh, who really made sure Van Gogh got famous. They're
Yeah,
absolutely
well, they
the
said
ones
that
who did it.
before they knew the worth of his paintings, that they were using them and the relatives came and took them. Because his estate was left raggedy after he had an affair with that woman that he was living with. Then it went and cut his ear off and all of that. He went crazy. And then they started using his stuff, and then they discovered that he was famous and they preserved it. That's what the documentary said anyway.
Possibly some of them, but that wasn't his close relatives. His
Yeah,
close
some of
relatives
them.
made
yeah,
sure.
some of them.
His close relatives are actually the first sort of preservers of artistic legacy, right? Like and it was his sister-in-law who really did it. Long before, by the way, women were supposed to be art dealers. She was like, fucking, I'm gonna make sure my husband and my brother-in-law get some credit for this. This is good work. You're making me think of, I had two thoughts on this idea. Well, it's gone now. I had it, it's gone. It can't be that important.
Okay, good. It doesn't mean I'm old.
I was thinking about, I can't remember, it's gone. Oh, well, talk about artistic legacy. I can't even remember what I was going to say 5 minutes ago. I am currently the trustee for a friend of mine who was a musician and an artist who died a couple of years ago. And one of my jobs, I'm the trustee of her artistic legacy. She has set aside money to pay me for that. We have a website up. Like there's like, I have all her journals. I have all of her materials. And my job is to make sure that people don't forget about her. And once I get too old to do that, it goes to her nephew. So there's a whole like, and in fact, it didn't even go to me first. She was so smart. It went to her lawyer, who was a guitar student, who did all the setup. So he did all the categorizing, all the putting the website up, building all the things. He did all the initial stuff. Now I just inherited it and I get to write blogs and I don't know. You know,
That's what happened to Mr. Charles. Like I worked for Mr. Ray Charles and Mr. James Brown a year for each of them. And that's what they did. They turned everything over to their attorneys.
Yep.
And then the attorneys handle all of the estates so that the
Right.
kids could get what they were supposed to get, and the ex-wives and kids, babies, mamas, and all the people could get their money. They had the attorneys take care of it and meter everything out like that.
Yep.
And most of the times they don't steal it. And sometimes they
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
They don't bother. They've got it pretty tight. Mr. Charles was smart. He did all of his stuff.
It's an interesting, yeah. So you can think about it and then you can see how to, and Hilma A.F. Clint was what really smart too, because she set up a will in which her work would be viewed, but 50 years after her death, because she knew when she was doing it, she was aware that when she was doing it, it would not be accepted. She would be forgotten. Because of that, she's made a bigger splash on the art world because the art world is more ready for her. And we were kind of waiting to see what it was, right? Like people were waiting to see what it was she did. Oh, I know what I was going to say. Osiris, this idea has come up, and Julia, what you were both referring to, this idea came up with Amy Sherald, who was the painter of Michelle Obama, that sort of second.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's two
Yeah.
things about Amy that are really interesting. Number one, Amy, when she got that commission, she couldn't afford her studio rent. So here she had gotten to this level, like artistically, where, so she had to get a grant to pay for her studio while she was painting the Obama portrait. Since then, of course, her work has skyrocketed, and it's been a big issue because, like, in her lifetime as she's living, her work has gone up tremendously in value. And
She's not getting any of it.
no, not in the, although now she is, because of course now the one good value of this is that now her work is like, it's very sought out. So she is getting paid, and in her latest, of course, her later works, she is, but I found it amazing that, like, and I think I ran across it because I was looking at art scholarships and I saw this quote from Amy Sherald, and she was like, if I didn't have this, here I had this, you know, portrait commission from Obama. I couldn't afford my studio rent. So this organization helped me afford my studio rent. And I was like, Jesus Christ. As an artist, as you know, like things
It's
go
like-
up and down.
It's like famous. Yeah, and it's like famous celebrities that we're sitting at big companies like William Morris and the big record labels, and the press is out there going, oh yeah, they just sold 1 million, blah, 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 blah. And we're back there, and the poor guy's like, okay, you just hold on. In 2 weeks, you'll get a check and you'll have a place to live. So don't worry, we're gonna put you up right now in a hotel for 2 weeks. Because people don't know what goes on behind the scene. They only see the front end.
They just, I know, it's just absurd. It's like so absurd. And, you know, I always have at least one part-time job option in my, like, I'm either going to go work for the post office or I'm going to like go work for Starbucks, one of the two. Because I'm like, because I know at any moment my financial world could come crashing down. Fortunately, it hasn't happened yet, but like it really could. And
Art
that's,
is a part of the, it's a part of the work world now. You don't have to worry. It's not gonna go away.
I mean,
It's been
I
hard.
don't
And
know.
they finally accept it as a part of something you could do and get paid for. As long as they're making money off of it, it's not gonna go anywhere.
I don't know. I don't know. I maybe haven't hit that
depends
part
if
of the art
rest of
world
the
yet.
Yeah, it depends. if
But
the
as
rest of the
long
economy is
as long as you have this gig and
This
can
gig is a
stand-
good gig. It's a very
Yeah.
helpful gig. It supports. And also, look at, I get to do art with you guys all the time. I mean, what a great job. All right, I'm going to pull off the spotlight for a moment. I want to move you into gallery view. I want you to just hold up the thing you're the happiest about.
Oh,
Hold it
I
up.
have no options.
Yes. 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 Ah, yes.
Look at those clouds. What good.
You
Wow, I'm
guys.
impressed.
Isn't that great, Diana? Didn't they do great?
Yeah,
You're a good
So-
teacher.
fantastic.
I'm telling you. So we're going to spend the summer in ink because I think this is going to be really fun. So I think like I will make sure I have my supplies. But you can also see, because here's mine. I forgot to send it. Not so great. You can get different colors and play with them too. So I would encourage you to do that. Now tomorrow is our first printmaking class from home. I would encourage you guys to try it. It should be really
And
good.
that's 9 o'clock.
9 o'clock our time. I think 4 o'clock, 3 hours later for East Coast and 8 hours later for London. I would highly recommend it. It's a really